You're my
Okay.
director.
Okay.
You're my director, my producer.
Okay.
This is my agent over here.
Okay, we are ready then.
Okay, good.
So, well, excuse me. Let me move this cable over here. It's okay. You can look at me. It's not necessary to look at the camera.
Yeah, I don't want to look at me because that's just like,
So, uh, can you introduce yourself?
my name is Gordon Mitchell. I am Director of Sales for Atari.
Yeah.
I oversee Canada, Mexico market and beyond, and certain accounts in the United States as well.
Okay, pretty good. So tell us a little about Atari in Mexico. We know that now that the Synergex start working, you were one of his first clients, but it's not the first time that Atari is working very closely with something at Mexico.
No, we've been focused on the Mexico market seriously over the last year. Before that, we were working in the market, but we weren't necessarily focused on it. I started traveling down in this market last August. I've been in the market now, I think it's my 6th trip down here. We took a big part, took part in EGS last year. We've met with all the major retailers over the last year. From the beginning, from last August, during my first trip into this market, you can see the potential. The potential is absolutely tremendous. This is a growing concern down here. It's one that Atari is going to focus on, build relationships with our retail partners as well as our distribution partners, work on supporting our partners with global markdowns like we do in the US and Canada and worldwide where we haven't necessarily in the past, look at doing television marketing, magazine marketing, and really start focusing our efforts much like we do in other parts of the world. And it's very important for us to ensure that we maximize every avenue in this market with all of our customers.
So tell us, how do you see this market, for example, comparing with Canada? That we know that was one of the first markets that Atari started expanding in America. How do you see the Mexican, not only Mexican market, but Mexican and Latin American market?
When I first traveled down in this market last August, I saw this market as the way Canada was 9 years ago, where the U.S. 9 years ago when I started with Atari really didn't have a lot of focus in Canada. But with just a little bit of time and effort and thought and working directly with our retail partners and supporting the market with marketing and television spends, Canada has become upwards of 10% and beyond the U.S. market. So it's grown exponentially over the last few years. And I see the same thing happening down here. It just takes a little bit of time and effort and focus and due diligence, if you will, making sure that we partner with the right customers, and we will see this market grow as Canada has over the last few years, exponentially. I see this as a total upswing, totally going straight up.
What can we expect from Atari? Not only, for example, of course, the first thing we are going to do is to have your presence for your game, so
Sure.
that the people can get it at a good price and in good time. But are you planning to do something else about that?
Well, our plan is in working with Synergex de Mexico. I've worked with Synergex in Canada for 7-8 years. They're a tremendous partner. And thankfully, they decided to set up in this market. And it was very important to me that they did that. And we needed a partner in this market that was going to allow us to ship goods into the market early, be day and date with the US and Canada for launch dates. So no more are we going to see brand new launches like Dragon Ball Z, Tenkaichi 3 for Wii and PS2 when it ships on November 13th. We're not going to see it on customer shelves in Mexico December 20th or November 20th or November 27th. It's going to be on shelf November 13th. We haven't had that in the past. We've always been delayed. Product coming out of the US, coming across the border, duties, customs, whatever issues we have coming into the country. And it's no different than the issues I ran into when we started developing Canada. Same thing, we were shipping goods out of the US into Canada. They were always delayed because of customs, whatever. And customers were never day and date. So this holiday is the first time we're actually going to be able to see all of our new releases on customers' shelves the same day that the US has it on their shelves. And that, for me, is is so exciting because we can circumvent some of the gray market, of the black market, or whatever you want to call it, circumvent some of that business that our retail partners aren't realizing. They'll now be able to realize it. And when we do Dragon Ball Z, for example, this year, it's a worldwide street date, November 13th. We will have it. Mexico will be able to be a part of that worldwide street date, where a year ago it wouldn't have happened. We could have talked about it, but it would not have happened.
We remember that we have the Atari product a week later.
Well, Tenkaichi 2 was a disaster. We actually didn't even have it in the market until the beginning of the new year, until 2007.
Okay, that was losing their...
It's terrible.
Holiday season.
Sure.
So let's talk a little about your games for this holiday season. We're talking about a new Dragon Ball Z, Tenkaichi 3,
yes,
Godzilla Unleashed, and Jenga. What can you tell us? Why don't you talk a little about each one?
Well, Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi 3 for PS2 and Wii. It's going to be the 27th and 28th Dragon Ball Z release that Atari has released since 2002.
So it seems like it's a very successful run for you.
It's a tremendous brand. It sells extremely well. Customers want it. They love the DBZ brand. It's profitable. Retailers can make money off of it. Every November we ship a new one. This year, what's exciting is that for the Wii platform, it's going to be the first online Dragon Ball Z game ever. It's never been done before. So when a customer buys Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi 3 for the Wii, they'll be able to play it online. First time that's ever been able to happen. So we're very excited about that. Moving on to Godzilla. Godzilla is just what it is. It's just more monsters, more destruction, more cities, and it just gets bigger and better every year. When you think about Jenga, again, Jenga for DS and Wii, and all of these titles are shipping on November 13th. It's just playing Jenga, as we did at E3 in Santa Monica this past July.
Yeah.
It's a total party game. It's something that people are just going to grab a hold of. It's going to be something for a holiday. The entire family can play it. It's not just for the kids, it's for the parents as well. It's E for everyone, so mom and dad don't have to worry about any mature rating or anything like that. And it's easy to play. You just pick up the Wii controller and you play, or you pick up the DS and you play.
Yeah, we have the time, the chance to play it at E3. What it drives me to another question. We saw a lot of companies that were adopting this new genre, can we say genre, the casual games.
Yes.
For example, a lot of games for Wii show it was something like a casual game brand or genre. What is going to happen with Atari? It's going to make another kind of division like EA, making more of this kind of games, or they are going to focus in more classic games at the future?
Well, I think that's a good question. I know that we're certainly going to be focusing on that market because it's certainly growing. And if you talk about casual games, then we can sort of go right into Atari Classics for PSP, which has 80 of Atari's classic games on there. So Centipede and Pong and Asteroids and all of these games that people know about, they played years and years and years ago, especially the adults. Now they can play it on the PSP. We've got 70 of the Atari original games for the PSP, and then on that PSP title as well, there's going to be 10 upgraded games. So Centipede, for example, you'll be able to play like you played 20 years ago, but you'll also be able to play a version of it based on 2007 technology. So, that's a very casual game. It's a pick up and go. There's no manuals. You don't need to bother with that. And it's, again, it's something that everyone can sort of get involved in. And we'll continue to do that, but we would call that as mining the vault. Atari has a tremendous background of history of licenses that we have the rights to that we can produce. And it's a matter of deciding which licenses we want to go forward with, what the right platform is for those licenses, and then create our own casual games based on what we already have. We'll continue to go after new licenses like Jenga and like Alone in the Dark, which is relatively new for us. We'll always go after that new brand, but we're also going to be taking a lot of effort and focus on what we already own.